It's not resetting.
Reset.
To reset.
Resetting.
Minecraft speedrunning is strange. In other popular speedruns like Super Mario 64, the runner would play out runs, usually only resetting when something detrimental happened in the middle of it. It's a straightforward process, shared by most speed games, yet Minecraft is an exception. Runners still reset when something happens in their run that means they can't get a good time anymore. It's just that they also reset when they haven't even started their run. Resetting is something that is so simple in other speed games and usually isn't important to the run itself, yet it was made extremely complicated in Minecraft speedrunning and even made into a strategy, all in the interest of getting the fastest times possible. This is the evolution of the simplest, yet arguably most important aspect of Minecraft speedrunning: resetting. First, let's get some context. If you watch a majority of Minecraft speedrunning streams, most of the time the runner will be resetting seeds to get one that is right for them to run and get a good time on. A runner may look for a village or a beach in a seed, and if they don't get it, then that seed is reset. If you want a more detailed explanation and a history behind the reason speedrunners reset many of their worlds, watch this video by Fireworks, which explains the mentality of speedrunners and why they reset. With the unpredictability of Minecraft's randomness, you wouldn't really be able to tell what would come next. To get a good seed faster, you would want to reset at a much faster rate and with better judgment, collectively known as reset efficiency. Runners just had to figure out how to improve this rate. Originally, only a single instance of Minecraft would be used, which seems very normal and simple. However, this was way too slow. Having to go out of a world and create a new one with all the right settings seemed to waste too much time that could be used finding seeds. Very few players would reset faster by using something known as keyboard spamming, where you would use the tab selection on the main menu to create a world extremely fast. The issue with this was that you wouldn't change the difficulty, and it may have been hard for some people to do the inputs quick enough, so a majority of players would end up just manually clicking the buttons. This was then simplified into one of the first resetting macros in MCSR, the single instance reset macro. The macro did what keyboard spamming achieved, but at a much faster rate while also changing the difficulty to easy, which is allowed for leaderboards. Despite this being faster than what was being done before, it was nowhere near as fast as what could be achieved. Over time, many new mods were introduced to help make this process much faster. Performance was increased with the help of mods such as lithium and sodium. World generation was made faster due to Starlight, a mod that would rewrite Minecraft's lighting engine, also giving a performance benefit over the older Phosphor. Atom and Fast Reset were both introduced to make resetting itself much faster. Another mod that was introduced was World Preview. World Preview is a mod created by VoidX Walker, which allows players to see into the spawn of the new world before it even fully loaded. This mod came with slight controversy, however, due to a new strategy runners would utilize to maximize their reset efficiency, but that'll come up a bit later. Before we go to what you may be more familiar with, we need to talk about parallel multi-instancing. At least in its most basic form. Multiple instances of a game at a time is not an original idea by the Minecraft speedrunning community. In other game communities, it's known as multi-boxing. It's mainly found in MMORPGs, where a single user would run multiple accounts to make rapid in-game progression in a shorter amount of time. The community had thought of using multiple instances before, but at this time there was no real thought of it being a reality. The player to push multiple instances was Jojo, a runner, developer, and general tech advisor within the MCSR community who would put PC components to the test. He pushed the thought of multiple instances much further than the thoughts that came before. He had also noted the hardware requirements for such a task, as was present in multiboxing with MMORPGs. After deliberation with the leaderboard mods, in June of 2021, a new ruling was made, where Minecraft's version of multiboxing would be allowed. The only clarification on using multiple instances was that each instance must use a different .minecraft. The .minecraft folder is the directory that the instance's data is stored inside. But one question remained. Was there anyone who would think of using multiple Minecraft instances? Well, the answer to that question came from JoJo's own Twitch chat. This is Hamazon, a former top runner who had competitive times in multiple splits. He had joined JoJo's chat to comment on JoJo's resetting. He pointed out that only one instance was being reset, alluding to the usage of multiple instances. In a later stream, Hamazon would write that he would soon be resetting with 3 instances. The first stream with multiple instances was done by Hamazon sometime around the 31st of March 2021. Instead of having any fancy program to help with dealing with his 3 instances, he would just click on the next Minecraft instance when he was done with the current one. Though this was slow, this was the beginning of what would be multi-instancing. Hamazon would continue doing streams of multi-instancing, even having Sudoku or Minesweeper in the corner to play during the downtime.
God, I don't know how to play Minesweeper, really.
Maybe he was one step ahead of the Subway Surfers and Family Guy clips we see today. Truly a pioneer. Not only this, but at times he would have 2 of his instances on 1.15.2 and the other on 1.16.1, as he was a high-profile runner in both splits. He wanted a top time in both splits, so instead of doing one after the other, why not do both at the same time? Hamazon eventually convinced JoJo to try multi-instancing. JoJo found Hamazon's method to be quite inefficient, and decided to make his own macro. This macro was not made public, but inspired a newer macro that was one of the first to be popular within the community. With the help of a macro created by 4, runners could now reset in one Minecraft and instantly transfer into another, where a new world was being made, or had already loaded. Of course, with the introduction of the mods previously mentioned, this resetting was made even faster, allowing for more seeds to be reset in faster times. JoJo even explored with background resetting, so while he was playing on one instance, he could look over to his second monitor and reset any of his background instances. His background resetting was netting him around 400 worlds an hour, possibly more, just showing the sheer speed that multi-instancing was capable of. The only issue with multi was how taxing running multiple Minecrafts on a single PC was. You would need fairly good components to run many instances, and this was heavily realized when the next method of resetting was being popularized. This is the wall. The wall is another method of multi-instancing, but instead of only seeing one of your instances and then resetting into another, you would be presented with a wall of Minecrafts, and you would pick and choose which you would want to go into. You could reset all of them if they didn't fit your requirements. The wall is the most popular method of resetting in modern speedruns, since it allows for extremely fast resets and could let players easily find good seeds. The idea of the wall came from a rather unusual yet understandable thought process. When entering seeds, runners would spin around to get a look at their environment before determining whether such a seed was worth playing. The action of spinning around in a seed would mean a fair amount of wrist movement in longer sessions. JoJo was one to experience wrist pain due to this, leading to him working on the wall, where he would be able to view the seed and judge it without having to enter and spin around. This work started sometime around July of 2021, when JoJo would post a message in a private speedrunning server about the progress he had made on the wall. At this point, he had only been able to get the instance's ID from a preview of his recording software. However, this was progress. This is the first recorded video of the wall. It's extremely basic, as resetting was not actually implemented, so it could only switch between instances. But it proved something. The concept was possible. Later, JoJo would create this. The video starts on the wall screen, with all the instances laid out. And then they start being reset. Even more progress. With this wall, you could reset instances and then enter whichever one you'd please. The wall was first publicly shown to the community by JoJo, who posted a short video in the Clips channel of the Minecraft Speedrunning Discord with simply the caption, "Coming soon." It showed 6 Minecraft worlds being reset, while in the layout of, shockingly, a wall. Nothing like it had been seen before, but its benefits were being recognized. This was a very basic version of the modern wall, as the simple 6 instances being used here were nothing in comparison to the 16 and upwards that many runners would eventually get to years later. The wall is extremely fast, but was generally used only by players with high-end PCs, as they were capable of running many instances that could utilize the wall to its full potential. This is where World Preview came in. World Preview was meant to assist users on lower instance counts, as they would be able to reset at faster rates than they would usually be able to, meaning they could be in contention with other runners who had many more instances than themselves. A player who would make use of this advantage was Marky Boy, a runner who had used World Preview on single instance. They had managed to attain the second ever sub 10, ironically only being beaten by Brentilda, who had gotten the first on a single instance with no mods. However, this run was not verified. This was because Marky Boy had used the mod on the 11th of January 2022. The mod was legalized merely a month later. This made the run unverifiable. This was an occasion where the mod had helped the player on a low instance count, yet the benefits this mod gave to resetting were also realized by runners on the wall. They had started to use the mod alongside the wall, giving a much larger benefit to them and increasing reset efficiency heavily. Some of the community had thought that this was way too much of a disadvantage, yet it remained legalized for leaderboard submissions. One of the first popular wall macros was the multi-reset wall made by Specner. Specner is a runner and tournament organizer in MCSR and had developed a multi-instance macro before, so he had decided to create a new macro, this time in the form of the wall. This macro gained rapid popularity amongst the community, becoming the ideal way to speedrun Minecraft. Many people made various changes to the multi-reset wall, with this specific macro allowing for more instances to be utilized due to its management of PC resources allowing for better performance. This didn't mean that any runner could run loads of instances with this new macro, as a fairly good PC was still a requirement. Many runners would run instance counts of 9 and above, yet a lot of the community didn't have PCs capable of running any more than 4, myself included. Ravalle had developed the aptly named Ravalle, originally a version of Specner's macro that became its own separate one with better performance and additional quality of life features. However, Specner's macro received many more developments that enhanced performance and had gained favour amongst the community over a while. These macros were all written using AutoHotkey, a simple macro program that a majority of the community had already used for the simple single instance macros before the wall. However, using AutoHotkey had its limitations. Then came Julti. Julti is a Java program that automated multi-instancing for users, primarily being used for the wall. Duncan, the main developer of Julti, had previously made Easy Multi, which, as it sounds, was a multi-instancing program which wasn't made in AutoHotkey. However, its functionality was heavily exceeded by Julti. This new program would allow users to set up their recording software easily, and would allow managing the performance of each instance to further enhance reset efficiency. Along with many quality of life features and an overall better user interface, Julti became the go-to multi-instancing program. I've talked a lot about needing a strong PC for multi-instancing, so I'll give you a quick and basic technical rundown of instance counts and PC hardware. Pretty quickly, the community realized that the more CPU cores and RAM you had, the more instances you could run. Except, it's not this simple in reality. Each CPU has something known as logical processors. During what I'm going to refer to as the Julti era, instance count was determined by either your logical processors divided by 2 or your available RAM divided by 2, with the lower of the two being your recommended instance count. This wasn't always a perfect formula, as some CPUs could run slightly more instances as long as they had the RAM for it, and Minecraft actually uses more RAM than what would be allocated. For instance, it was recommended that for each instance, 2 GB of RAM should be allocated. However, Minecraft would most of the time go over this 2 GB limit. Java also has a feature called garbage collecting, where memory is freed up by removing unused data. One garbage collector is known as Shenandoah, and when used, you can allocate a lower amount of RAM to each instance at the cost of higher CPU usage. This meant that if you had a strong CPU but not a lot of RAM, you could still run many instances. Even though multi-instance managing programs have increasingly better performance as they evolved, the hardware requirement was still very high, especially if you wanted to reach high instance counts to maximize your reset efficiency. This graphic by SeedQueue shows a lot of hardware information within the Minecraft speedrunning community. This graph here shows the correlation between instances and PBs from March 2023. You can see that as instance count increases, PBs get lower, making multi-instancing and the wall look much more appealing. Along with this, all of the programs and macros I mentioned before only worked on Windows, so Mac and Linux users had to develop their own methods to do multi-instancing, such as Linux's Resetty by TesselSlate. By this point, the world record was a 701 by Drip, who had an instance count of 15. In fact, the 3 world records before Drip's had instance counts of 12 or above. Drip was doing a version of wall resetting known as dynamic, where you would not be presented with all your instances at once, but instead with a section of them. You would choose out of the selection which you would like to keep, and then you reset the rest, being presented with the next few instances until you decide to play the ones you chose. Dynamic helps some players identify good seeds much faster, however, some would swear by the original wall, maybe due to habit. At this point, most if not all top runners had been using the wall, something that was actually predicted by JoJo a few years back. When the world record has such a high instance count, many players would think they would have no chance of getting close to it, since they didn't have as good a PC as the world record holders. All they could do was wait for some sort of hope. On the 10th of August 2024, a post was made in the Minecraft Speedrunning Discord's leaderboard changelog channel. This channel was reserved for updates to rulings, mods, and other information pertaining to rules regarding the official leaderboards. 3 years before this was the same channel where the announcement that multi-instancing was being allowed was posted. This time, something different was being posted about. The community kind of knew what the message was going to say, as there was discussion of what was in the making, and sure enough, it was what they had expected. 2 new mods were made public, and they were allowed for leaderboards and would help make resetting even faster and much more accessible to the community. This is Speedrun API, which supports the star of this show, SeedQueue. KingContaria is a strat and mod developer in the Minecraft speedrunning community who was mainly involved in the 1.13 to 1.15 split, having helped create multiple strategies. The major concept he brought to the table was 1.15's discount extending, where the chance of a pearl trade from a villager went from 1 in 9 to 1 in 3. Discount extending went on to help a lot of other 1.15 strategies, such as Backup Insomniac and First Day Classic. Over the past year, he and other developers had been working on SeedQueue, the newest mod for Minecraft speedrunners. Before, external programs were needed to display the wall to the user, and they would manage the resetting of instances. This meant that there would be slight performance deficits and overall a harder setup, as the user would jump between different programs just to get their wall set up. This had all changed under SeedQueue. SeedQueue works just as any other mod, where the user would just need to add it to their mods folder, and it would allow them to have the wall directly inside of their Minecraft instance. And that's the best part. SeedQueue only needs one Minecraft instance to be open. It simulates the different worlds in the single instance, allowing the user to reset as if it were a wall of multiple instances. By having only one instance open, this heavily increased performance. Through these enhancements, this also meant that runners who were limited in how many instances they could run before were now able to run many more when using SeedQueue. The Julti era method of finding your instance count was for the most part obsolete. The community are still trying to figure out their way around what works best. Of course, SeedQueue still relies on how good the player's PC is, but it's not as reliant on good hardware as the programs and macros that came before it. SeedQueue had been talked about for quite a few months by this point, but it hadn't been made public. Despite the community not having their hands on it, they knew the impact it would have. And yet, when it was made public, it was still a shock to the community. They had now been given access to the most accessible, fast resetting method yet. Runners used to stick to a single instance of Minecraft, going through each world manually and resetting those which didn't fit. This has evolved massively over the years, from the first multi-instancing macros in the wall up to the present day, where although the community are still figuring their way around it, SeedQueue has quickly taken over the most efficient way speedrunners reset in Minecraft. In my opinion, Minecraft speedrunning at its current state is possibly the most accessible it has ever been, so if you've ever been interested in speedrunning the game, then now is a great time to do so. The world record is still that 701 by Drip, but with SeedQueue now in the picture, there's a whole wave of people who can make a charge for that title of world record holder now. If you want to start speedrunning too, I'll leave a link to the Minecraft speedrunning Discord in the description for you to join, where you can find all the tools you'll need and get community help on how to start Minecraft speedrunning. I'll also leave links to those who helped out in the making of this video, especially Jojo, who had to endure my endless questions for this, so massive thanks to him. And thank you for watching. It's been a while since my last real video, but don't worry, I've got quite a few more videos coming, hopefully soon, so go ahead and subscribe to find those videos when they're out. Subscriptions help me a lot, so thanks.